Okay, so are you ready to like dive into some really fascinating stuff?
Always.
Today's deep dive is taking us into the world of reincarnation,
Ooh.
but with a twist.
Okay, I like twists.
Yeah, we're dissecting this YouTube video transcript from a live Q&A session
Mm-hmm.
with a guy named Kaloger Grafasi.
Okay.
He leads these paranormal investigations and stuff like that.
Interesting.
It was in Polish and Spanish originally,
Okay.
but don't worry,
Oof.
the transcript, so I've got you covered.
Right on.
And the session is just packed with audience questions about reincarnation.
I bet.
Everything from past lives to like the purpose of it all.
Oh, cool.
So we're here to unearth the most intriguing insights about reincarnation,
Okay.
according to this expert and his audience.
All right, I'm ready.
Get ready for some surprising perspectives.
Okay.
Some really thought-provoking discussions.
Let's do it.
So Grafasi,
Yeah.
he frames this concept of a reincarnation cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And he suggests that consciousness might actually evolve through different realms. So
Yeah.
different categories.
Like what?
Mineral, plant, animal, and finally human.
Interesting. So it's like we're leveling up in a cosmic game or something.
Exactly. It's like leveling up in a cosmic game.
I like that analogy.
But it also raises all these questions, right? Like,
oh, yeah, for sure.
what does it actually mean to level up in a spiritual sense?
Right. Are we striving for like moral perfection
Yes.
or expanding our consciousness?
Are we just trying to get more Twitter followers? I don't know.
Maybe that's level 1.
Right. But then it gets even more intriguing because
Okay.
he acknowledges that reincarnation within the same category is possible.
Oh, so you could come back as like a better version of a human.
Exactly. You can come back as like a better version of yourself in your next life.
That's trippy.
I know it's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is, but I kind of like it.
I think it's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah.
But it challenges us to really think about, like, what does better even mean?
Oh, absolutely. Like, are we talking about
Yeah.
becoming more virtuous?
More knowledgeable.
More aligned with our, like, true purpose.
Right. And Grafasi, he doesn't define it explicitly.
Okay.
He leaves it open to a lot of personal interpretation, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, this brings up a question that I find particularly mind-bending.
Ooh, lay it on me.
Can we reincarnate into the past?
Whoa.
Yeah, one listener asked Grafasi this very question,
Okay, what'd he say?
and his answer was surprising.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He suggested it's possible under hypnosis.
Oh, under hypnosis. Interesting.
He believes that in a hypnotic state, our minds, they become more flexible with this concept of time,
Right.
potentially allowing us to access memories from a future life.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
very powerful concept,
It is,
if you think about it.
if you really think about it.
It kind of implies that linear time as we perceive it might not be the whole story.
That's right.
And imagine the possibilities if we could like tap into knowledge from our future selves.
Right.
Could that explain things like intuition or those moments of sudden like inspiration that you get?
It's a really tantalizing idea,
It is.
but it also makes me wonder, like, what's the bigger picture here?
Right. What's the point?
What's the ultimate purpose of this cycle of death and rebirth?
Yeah.
Is it just a cosmic merry-go-round?
Right.
Or is there something much more profound at play?
I need to know.
We need to know.
And I think Grafasi has some thoughts.
Grafasi doesn't shy away from this question. He suggests that the purpose of reincarnation hinges on our level of consciousness.
Okay.
So if we're unaware,
Yeah.
we might be trapped in a cycle.
Oh.
Almost like
what?
chickens being raised by a farmer for their eggs,
Oh, that's a little,
as Grafasi puts it.
yeah, a little dark.
It's a stark analogy,
It is.
but it really makes you think.
It does. It makes you think, are we truly in control of our spiritual evolution?
Oh, wait.
Or are we serving someone else's agenda?
Right, like who's benefiting from our
Exactly.
cycles. But thankfully, Grafasi also offers a more empowering perspective.
Okay.
He says with awareness, reincarnation becomes a choice,
Okay.
an opportunity for learning and for growth.
I like that much better.
So it's not just about where we reincarnate,
Right.
but why and how consciously we're actually making those choices.
I see.
Now, this leads us to another really intriguing question
Okay.
that came up during the Q&A.
Hit me with it.
What's the energetic toll of reincarnation?
Oh, that's a good question.
One listener asked if more reincarnations mean more energy is being siphoned off
Okay.
by these so-called parasites.
Ooh. Ooh, I've heard of these.
Yeah, this is a concept that often comes up in discussions about reincarnation.
It does.
And Grafasi doesn't dismiss it.
Right.
He confirms that it's possible the longer it takes us to learn and break free from the cycle, the more susceptible we become.
Makes sense.
But he leaves it open to interpretation.
Okay.
Who or what these parasites might be.
Interesting. So are they like malevolent entities?
Sorry.
Preying on our energy?
Are they negative thought patterns?
Or could they be something else entirely?
And more importantly, how can we protect ourselves throughout multiple lifetimes?
That's the question.
These are questions that Grafasi doesn't explicitly answer. But he encourages us to explore them on our own.
To do our own research.
To develop our own discernment and understanding.
Right.
He seems to suggest that the journey itself, the act of questioning and seeking answers, is a crucial part of our spiritual growth.
I like that.
It really makes you wonder if the lack of definitive answers is intentional, pushing us to become more active participants in our own exploration of this complex concept.
Instead of just being spoon-fed information.
Exactly.
We have to go out and find it ourselves.
We have to do the work.
Yeah.
Now, this next question might hit close to home for some of you listening.
Okay.
What about clinical death?
Ooh.
Where someone is revived after being declared dead.
Right. Near-death experiences.
Is that a form of reincarnation?
Oh, that's a really interesting question.
It is.
Because it challenges our understanding of what constitutes a complete cycle of death and rebirth.
And Grafasi's answer is very clear.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Clinical death is not reincarnation.
Oh, okay. So he's drawing a clear distinction there.
He emphasizes that true reincarnation involves a specific process.
Right.
Death, a period of healing and reflection, karmic review.
Okay.
And then rebirth.
I see.
So it seems clinical death might be more like a brief glimpse beyond the veil.
Oh, okay.
A temporary departure.
Right.
Rather than a full transition into a new life.
So like dipping your toes into the ocean versus taking a deep dive.
Perfect analogy.
I tried.
But if that's the case, what happens in the spiritual realm during that period of healing and reflection?
What's going on there?
What exactly does this karmic review entail?
I need answers.
We need answers. And to find out, we'll need to delve deeper into this Q&A session.
Let's do it.
Get ready for some personal stories and experiences that might just change the way you think about reincarnation.
All right, I'm ready.
Stay tuned.
I'm hooked. So welcome back to our deep dive into reincarnation.
Back into the rabbit hole we go.
Exactly. We left off wondering what happens in that spiritual realm, like between lives.
Right.
So let's explore some of those personal experiences that were shared during the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm ready.
They might give us some clues.
I love personal accounts because it always makes these like abstract concepts feel a little more tangible.
For sure. They really ground these ideas.
Bounded, yeah.
So one listener, Bogus, he shared an experience that speaks to the power of our energy and its impact on the world around us.
Okay.
He talked about feeling this like profound connection to his own energy and how it affects his surroundings.
So he's like super aware of his own energy?
Exactly. He even mentioned like a lack of fear, almost as if he's tapped into a higher level of awareness.
Interesting. And that makes you think, what if we all cultivated that level of awareness?
Yeah.
Could we change the way we interact with each other and the world?
Absolutely. I think that's a really inspiring thought.
I do too.
And speaking of influencing our reality, another listener brings up this concept of soul contracts.
Oh, yeah.
They're curious about whether we come to Earth with like predetermined missions or purposes.
The age-old question of destiny versus free will.
Right.
What's interesting is that Grafasi, he acknowledges the possibility of coming to Earth with a mission.
Okay.
But he adds a twist to it.
Oh, a twist. I love twists.
What if that mission is actually a deception?
Gassed.
A manipulation by other entities.
Oh, so we're not actually fulfilling our own true purpose.
Maybe not.
We might be unknowingly serving someone else's agenda.
It's like we're being lured into this game with false promises.
Right, exactly.
But Grafasi doesn't leave us in a state of fear and powerlessness.
Good, because I was getting a little scared.
He suggests that individuals with higher consciousness can actually choose their own missions.
Okay.
Their own paths of learning and growth.
So it's not about being a pawn in some cosmic game, but an active participant in our own evolution.
We have the power to reclaim our spiritual autonomy.
I love that it's very empowering.
It is empowering. It highlights the importance of cultivating that awareness and discernment.
Right.
So we can recognize when we're being influenced by those external forces.
Makes sense.
And, this reminds me of those parasites.
Oh, yeah.
That Grafasi mentioned earlier.
Right, the energy suckers.
A listener asked a really pointed question about them.
Okay, what was it?
Is it true that the more times you reincarnate, the more energy these parasites drain from you?
That's a good question that's been lingering in my mind.
Same, and Grafasi confirms that it's possible.
Oh, no.
He even uses that farmer and chickens analogy to illustrate this concept.
Right. The chickens are laying all these eggs and the farmer's benefiting.
He compares it to a farmer who keeps his chickens constantly producing eggs.
Right.
Benefiting from their labor. And it's a striking image that makes you wonder if we're the chickens who are the farmers.
Who are the farmers pulling the strings?
Are they malevolent entities preying on our energy?
Or are they more like those systems
Yeah.
or beliefs that keep us trapped in these cycles of suffering?
Grafasi doesn't specify.
Right.
He leaves it open to our interpretation.
But hopefully we can break free somehow.
He does offer a glimmer of hope.
Okay, good.
He suggests that through awareness and conscious effort, we can break free from these exploitative systems.
We're not eternally bound.
We are not eternally bound to this cycle of energy depletion.
That's a relief.
It suggests there's a way to win the game, to escape the traps that keep us tethered to a cycle of reincarnation.
Right.
That doesn't serve our highest good.
Exactly, but that brings up another question.
Yeah.
What does winning look like?
Right, like what is that end goal?
What are we striving for?
And one listener, Rafal, seems to be grappling with this very idea.
Okay.
He asks which conception of reincarnation is true.
Oh, wow.
Gnosticism, Theosophy, official Spiritism, Buddhism, or something else entirely.
He wants that roadmap, that definitive answer.
He wants the cheat codes.
Yeah.
But Grafasi, in his usual nuanced way, suggests there isn't one right answer. He says all possibilities are open, but the most likely scenario depends on the context.
Okay.
Our individual perspectives, the lens through which we view the world.
So instead of getting caught up in dogma,
Yeah.
we should explore different perspectives.
Look, the whole puzzle.
Not just one piece.
Find what resonates with our own experiences and intuition.
I like that, a more holistic approach.
Yeah, and we see this open-minded approach reflected in the listeners' questions and comments as well.
Oh, yeah. Give me an example.
Remember the listener who mentioned feeling connected to Allan Kardec?
Yeah, the 19th century researcher of the afterlife.
Well, another listener, Andresh, chimes in and shares his own fascination with Kardec's work.
Interesting.
Specifically, his research into the spiritual home we return to after death.
So it's like multiple listeners in this session are drawn to his ideas.
Yeah, it speaks to the enduring impact of Kardec's work even today.
For sure. But what's particularly interesting is that André describes a film inspired by Kardec's writings that depicts the afterlife as a place of healing, learning, and preparation for the next life.
It's like a cosmic university where we get to review our past experiences and plan our next incarnation.
I love that image. It reframes death as a transition, a stepping stone to a new phase of growth.
A much more positive way to look at it.
For sure. But what about those who haven't fully transitioned?
Right.
Another listener, Krasik, brings up the topic of clinical death.
Okay.
Wondering if it's a form of reincarnation.
Oh, the question of near-death experiences.
Exactly.
And Grafasi's answer is consistent with what he said earlier.
Okay.
True reincarnation involves a very specific process: death, healing, reflection, karmic review, and then rebirth.
So clinical death, while potentially offering a glimpse into the other side, isn't that complete cycle?
It's not the full picture.
Not the full reincarnation experience.
It's like dipping your toes in the ocean versus taking that deep dive.
Exactly.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
Back for more reincarnation revelations.
We've explored this cyclical nature of reincarnation, the potential for manipulation within that cycle, and even dipped our toes into that spiritual realm between lives.
Right. It's been quite a journey.
It has, but now I'm really curious to hear, Grafasi's closing thoughts.
Me too. What are his final takeaways?
And what they mean for us here and now. How do we apply all of this?
Right. It's one thing to ponder these concepts, but how do we actually integrate them into our everyday lives?
Well, a listener named Deandra asked Grafasi a really insightful question about his approach to hypnosis.
Oh, about his methods.
Yeah, she wondered if his methods have changed over time.
Okay.
Or if it's just a result of boredom.
Boredom with reincarnation.
Maybe even boredom with all the talk of reptilian beings.
Oh, yeah. The reptilians, they always seem to pop up in these conversations.
They do.
So what did Grafasi say about that?
He actually addressed it directly.
Good. I'm glad.
He emphasized that his methods have evolved. Not out of boredom, but out of a desire to create a more holistic and intuitive experience for his clients.
That makes sense. It shows a deep respect for the individual and their unique journey.
Exactly. He talked about how his sessions used to be much more structured and formulaic.
Okay.
But over time, he's moved towards a more fluid and organic approach,
Interesting.
allowing the session to unfold naturally, guided by intuition and a deeper understanding of the subconscious.
It's like he's saying true mastery lies not in rigid control,
Right?
but in surrender and deep listening.
I love that way of putting it. It reminds us that even experts are constantly learning and evolving their practices.
Always growing.
But as we wrap up this deep dive,
Uh-huh.
I have to admit, I'm still left with so many questions.
I know what you mean. It's like Rafasi opened up this Pandora's box of possibilities and then just left us to explore it.
He left us with more questions than answers.
In a good way, though.
Yeah, in a good way. He offered so many intriguing insights.
He did.
But he also left a lot of room for interpretation and personal exploration.
Right, and that seems to be his whole point.
It does.
In his closing remarks, he reminded his audience that the information he shared,
Yeah.
it's just a starting point.
The tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. He encouraged them, and by extension, all of us listening, to continue our own research.
Right, to not just take his word for it.
To explore different perspectives and to ultimately form our own conclusions based on what resonates with us.
To find our own truth.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this.
He is.
It's not about providing all the answers, but about sparking your curiosity and empowering you to embark on your own journey of discovery.
So as we leave this conversation about reincarnation behind the park, let's consider this.
Okay.
What if each life is a chapter in a much larger story?
I like that.
What kind of story are you writing with your current chapter?
That's a great question to ponder. And if you find yourself intrigued by the ideas we've explored today, we encourage you to delve a deeper look into the work of Allan Kardec.
He seems to be a recurring theme.
He does explore different reincarnation theories, or maybe even try a past life regression session.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
The journey of discovery is just beginning.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into reincarnation.
It's been a pleasure explaining these mysteries with you.